Hello, everyone. All right, we are just getting settled in. I see we have a few of our attendees coming in right here. We'll just give it one more minute if you guys don't mind, but I will get us started here today. So first off, thank you everyone for coming to this webinar. As we know, a lot of facility seasons are starting back up. We just wanted to go over a nice refresher for events, and we have spent a lot of time enhancing events here at Club Caddie. And so really we want to ensure that you guys know how to use this, you feel comfortable with it, and utilize the tools and features that it has, because it will absolutely streamline your facility and really get you prepared to be successful. So with that said, today we have Michael Rollins, who is our Director of Product on the call, and Drew Cannon, our Post-Implementation Specialist. So two of my favorites here at Club Caddie, and thank you again, gentlemen, for joining us here today. As a reminder to everyone who is here, we do have a chat feature. You can see it at the bottom of your screen. This is going to allow you to ask any questions throughout the webinar, which we will try and answer to the best of our abilities. Now, we do have the questions you submitted with your registration. However, if they are not necessarily pertaining to this particular topic, we will have our customer success person follow up with you directly to review some of those items a little bit more in depth. So please look out for that in the next coming weeks. It may take a little while to get through everybody, but they will be reaching out. And then lastly, as we get through here at the end, I will save some time for any questions that are submitted that we may not be able to answer all the way. So I will stop this a little bit early and allow for those questions to be answered. So feel free to contribute and add anything you'd like to add. With all of that said, I am going to go ahead and pass it over to Drew to start us off in reviewing some events. And I think we're starting with golf, some golf outings, correct?
Correct. We will be starting with golf outing today.
Wonderful.
All right. Happy to have everyone on this call. As you can see on my screen here, we're going to start with golf outings today. I'm just going to run through kind of the setup of a golf outing from start to finish. We'll go through the payment side. We will go through the menu add-on screen, and then we'll look at the invoices, BEO sheet, as well as some function sheets for employees and staff members as well. So on my screen here, you can see the events page, and down under Golf Outing Manager, we can go into the golf outing that I have created. This first screen here, this would be our event details page. This is the initial screen that you're going to fill in prior to all of the information opening up for the golf outing. So you'll have a kind of event manager or outing manager who is going to have their information on this screen here. This will allow you to send an email to this customer. As you can see, my name is on the screen here. It gives their address, phone number, email. Next, you'll have the name of the outing, event date, start and end date. Then you can select the course. If you have multiple golf courses, you can select either of those golf courses. Then you have the ability to select a preliminary guest count and then a final guest count based on your verified count as you get closer to the event. Then we have the event start time and end time. This will show on the tee sheet. So 12 p.m. start time, and the last time that will show on the tee sheet would be 3:50 p.m., meaning the tee sheet will open at 4 p.m. for guest play. You can select your 9-hole selection for tee sheet blocks. So if it's a front 9 only or back 9 only, or if you're going to have front and back blocked off. As you can see on this screen here, there is only a few items that are required to fill out prior to saving this. So name of the event, event date, event time, and then the selection of front or back. Once you save this to your event creation, then these other items are going to open up here to allow you to go in and create your schedule, create a floor plan, add in golfers fees for members, non-members. We'll go through here each step.
Well, and Drew, I'm a big example person. So, what kind of events do you see like most people utilizing these golf outing event module for? Like, what are the best use cases? Some examples. I always love that. So,
So we have a few different scenarios, right? We have the banquet manager, which is used for birthday parties, weddings. We see it for graduations. One of the courses that I used to work at, we definitely see the banquet manager used very often. That one doesn't tie in golf. So the golf outing allows you to basically take the golf side and the banquet side and be able to tie those in together. So a lot of events where you're going to have golf outings or any charity events that might include a little bit of golf, or even if a wedding might include golf and you want to be able to include both together rather than having two separate events, golf outing would be very good for that. We also have golf league manager as well, which allows you to tie in, just golf leagues on a weekly basis, allows you to build out a schedule on your tee sheet and manages your tee sheet without you having to go and manually block everything each week. That potential chance for guests or members booking over top of a league or an event with the golf outing manager and the league manager, it allows you to kind of build that out, on a weekly basis or with the event, with the outing specifically, you'd be able to block that on the tee sheet.
that's awesome. So one thing I always kind of forget to mention is a little bit about us and Club Caddies. We all from the green grass side. We have experience either at publics or privates, and we've all done different roles. And so in my past life, I was a outside tournament sales director. So I did the Monday charity events and things like that. And I know this tool would have made my life so much easier when I was doing those events, because not only does it talk to the tee sheet, which was always an interesting conversation with Pro Shop, but it also talks to your event spaces. So for your post play, and it also talks to your kitchen because now you have a BEO that you can submit to them and they have all the food and all the preps and all the times. And that's really what is so robust about this events module that we have really taken a lot of time is you now don't have to be in multiple systems for events. You can do everything and centralize it within Club Caddie. And as somebody who could use this tool, I'm like, oh, we have to tell everyone. So if you're using other systems for your events, I would highly recommend taking a gander and go through this. And I think it's going to be extremely helpful because we've made a lot of really great updates. So Drew, thanks for that example case and all the fun stuff.
All right. As we look into the schedule, for example, as I stated, when you create your event, it's built into the schedule as well on the tee sheet. So you're not having to go look at a different scheduler or a different event, software that you use, and then you have to plug this stuff into your tee sheet. So once we create that event details page, this is going to get put onto your tee sheet. And if you ever have to go in and make any changes, to the date and times, you would be able to do that, in the event date section here and then the event time section. Now, the only other thing that you would have to do is on this schedule page, it's currently going to give you the date that you originally set it up. So if you do need to change the date and you do need to change the time, you would be able to go into manage resources here. And from manage resources, you can take, your front nine, your back nine, or if it's only going to be front or back, it's going to show one or the other. You can change the start date and you can change the start time. Same with the end date and same with the end time. Once you save these and reset your schedule, then it's going to change that on the tee sheet. So if you go into the event details page and you change it from here, it will not reflect on the tee sheet. So you do want to make sure that you're going into that schedules page and you are resetting your schedule if you're making changes to that event at any time. One of the biggest things that I see used during a wedding or a golf outing that turns into a dinner and awards, kind of banquet afterwards is this floor plan. It's really cool that you have the ability to create your own floor plans for each event. So if you have a wedding one weekend and you have a big, member guest golf outing that's going to have awards, you know, a podium, as you can see as in this example, buffet style tables, and you know, just a lot that's going on that you want the staff to be able to see prior to the event happening. You have this ability to create floor plans. And we also have the ability to create templates as well. And with the templates, you can have these already created prior to the events. You could have one set for weddings. You could have one set for all your outings. You could have one set for birthday parties. You could have one set for graduations. And right now you can see a example one that we have set. I just have, you know, 5 tables here with 3 buffet tables and, you know, an awards table as well. But if we clear this out here, and, you know, I can remove this. We then see to the left here that we have all these floor plan templates. These templates can be created, as I said, through settings, and it gives you that ability to already have multiple templates created so that as you go in, you can just click, that template pops up, you can click different templates, and once you save that, then it's going to populate to this screen here for you. Anytime you need to remove them and change them if you need to, you can, or you can just edit them and create new ones on the fly if you need to as well.
Now, one thing I always encourage is it takes time to build templates, but I know you guys are either living in Excel or handwritten drawing, pencil, paper. You know, we've all been there. But if you take a little bit of time and set this up, it will definitely make your life much, much easier. So spending a little bit of time goes a long way.
This golfers tab here, this is where we are going to start getting into the golf side of the outing event manager. As you can see here, we have different fee types that you can set for a golf outing. So maybe this outing pertains to members and guests. The golf course that I worked at, we have a big member guest tournament every June and or every July. And, you know, there's a lot that goes into setting these up. And one of the nice things is the ability to have different fee types. So you're able to get that fee type for a member or a guest or, you know, public play or seniors or juniors. And you're able to kind of break this down into how many golfers are going to be in each category. Then you get the price per golfer. If it includes a cart, you would, you know, you would put in the price per cart. Same for a guest. We have the number of golfers for a guest, price per golfer, and the cart. You can also, you know, add in here if there's going to be a service fee to those items, you know, or if these are tax exempt. And what's great about this is it gives you the green fee total. It's going to give you, you know, your total golf outing total just in the golf side. And same thing for leagues as well. You can build this stuff out in leagues, which is really nice because it gives you that total price based on, you know, weeks or, you know, in this case, it's going to show 1 week, but it's a day outing. So it's only going to give you that price based on, you know, 1 day in this case. But it's a really great tool to use because it gives you that ability to see early on what's going to be the price. Based on my members, based on my guests, based on any fee types that you associate to that event. And then if you need to change it in any way, you can go in and change the number of golfers, you can change the prices, and down here with this edit button, it will edit for you, and then it'll change that golf outing total to give you your new total price.
So Drew, before you go too far, there was somebody who asked, can you show us how to use the tools in the floor plan? So do you mind just taking one step back to the floor plan? And will you just drag and drop those various, you know, things to show people like how to create a floor?
Create a new one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead. So if we have different formats of tables here, and different things that you can create. But if I take a table 1, I can create this here. I can click and I can drag it in. I can expand the size. I can bring in so I can click the circle table and I can bring that in.
Doesn't like you today. And one thing to know is you can rename all these things, right? Like if you double click.
Yep, so I can bring a couple tables. I can double click into this and I could say this is the awards table. And obviously, if it's smaller, it's going to kind of be compacted when you're first typing that stuff in, but you can make it true to size. Same with the circle tables as well, and even the you know, diamond shaped tables, the square tables there. You have that ability to click and drag, move them anywhere you need to. But one very important step here that if you're creating a bunch of tables, adding items in, creating kind of a bar section, anything that you want to make as your kind of designed layout. Please keep in mind to hit that save button. If you do go to the next screen prior to saving anything here, it will kind of revert back to the original. So as you're creating this stuff, it does take a little bit of time out of your schedule here to create a nice floor plan. So I just want to make sure that that's not something that gets lost. So as you're going through that, please keep in mind to hit that save button as you're going.
One other tip that I found is the copy and paste availability. So it's not necessarily intuitive, but you can use your Control P, Control V. And so let's say you make one table, you don't want to have to drag another table together. You can actually highlight it and then Control C and then Control V. And then you can drag that away and there'll be an additional copy. So I know it's not really we're getting fun now, but as you can see, use your short key Control C, Control V to expedite that. Additionally, one other tip is if you have a built out floor plan that has a bunch of stuff, you can actually go to that floor plan, highlight everything, Control C, and then start a new one, Control V, and it will actually have that so you don't have to start from scratch. So just some tips and tricks there.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. On the menu screen here, this menu screen gives you the ability to, kind of build out your lunch, if you're going to have anything at the turn. In this case here, we have a hot dog drink and chip combo at the turn. What this does is it allows you to kind of build out that menu to see, what the rate is, what the quantity is, what your subtotal is going to be. And it just allows you to build that out. So when you're looking at your invoices or looking at the BEO, this stuff is all going to be, relatively easy to locate to see what your subtotal is going to be for that stuff. If the customer does ask, what the total is on any of these items, you're able to, to go through and give them that total price. As you can see on this section here, we have, a couple lunch items. So if I wanted to go through here and I could search for an item in particular, or I could go through our, department, sub-department category and locate those items. So if we take, for example, a package item here, and I say we're going to do a buffet, and we'll actually use the dinner buffets and the tournament buffet, and then we select the item, which would be tournament buffet. I can select yes or no to tax exemption. Service type, it's going to be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and this is how it's going to break apart on the BEO and the invoice. So it's going to show you what's for lunch, what's for dinner, in some cases, what's for breakfast. And then for the rate, whatever the price is on the inventory item itself is what's going to first populate here. You can change it to whatever it needs to be. So if you're discounting it based on it being an outing or based on how many people are involved in the outing, you can put in whatever price it needs to be. So if we throw in a $20 rate here per plate, we say the quantity is 65 total. It'll give me that total cost. No math has to be done on your end. And then we can select if there's going to be a service fee, which is going to apply on that item here, which you can see as kind of the last line item after the total. It gives you remarks, which is, you can put in different remarks for items so that if the kitchen needs to see this is what's in the tournament buffet, 2 meat selection, whatever items need to be put in on the remarks page, you can do that as well. And once we add that to the sheet, now it's going to add here, and because I changed it to, dinner as opposed to lunch, it's going to break that apart separately, showing you your lunch items as well as your dinner items. A lot of times golf courses want to be able to separate that dinner buffet from their, hot dog tournament, because there's 2 different prices there, 2 different items for sale, and they want to be able to track that stuff differently. So that'll, this screen allows you to take every single food item that you're going to be selling for, for lunch, for dinner at the tournament. It allows you to break that out into your function sheet, your BEO, and the invoice. With the menu screen as well, we have a setting within register settings. So if you go into your settings page up top where that gear wheel is, and then through register settings, we do have a setting called default department for event menu. There does have to be something selected here. So if you do not have anything set for that, that specific register setting, when you go into menu to start selecting your different menu items for lunch or dinner, nothing's going to show up because we do have to have something set specifically for that that department. So please make sure if you do not see anything, that you do check out register settings and check that default department for that menu. And of course, if you guys need help locating that or setting that up, we're always happy to help set that up for you guys as well.
And actually, one resource I was just going to note is that typically the implementation team is going to set a lot of these things up for you. However, if you didn't have them at the time or something like that, there are a few steps to set up these items to have those reoccurring formatted text in there. So I actually have a video that we just did that I will post in the chat as a reference tool for you guys. So if you need to build it out, it'll really go through it much more thoroughly. Just want to add that. And then Michael and Drew, we do have some questions coming in on the chat and on the questions as well, but we are going to get to them. Some of the ones are about rounds reporting and things like that. I'm going to wait till Michael gets to the reporting section. So for you guys asking those ones. And then we will get to these questions throughout the webinar. And if we don't, I just want to let everyone know we will answer them at the end. So sorry, Drew, keep going.
Awesome, thank you. So we also have an add-on screen as well. It looks fairly similar to the menu screen. The main difference between the two is that the add-on screen allows you to add anything that is an inventory item in the system. So that could be food, that could be beverage, that could be a rental fee for a tent or a rental fee for a banquet room. And you can add in, green fees and cart fees. So if you wanted to tie a specific green fee and cart fee inventory item to your event, you can add that through here through add-ons. Every search is going to be the exact same. You're searching for that department, that sub-department, that category, which would then bring up that item. You'd be able to select tax exemption, yes or no, and the rate would still be the same as the inventory item, but then you'd be able to change that price. So as we can see to the right here, I have a tournament green fee, an 18-hole cart fee, and then I also have a member green fee and a member cart fee. It just allows you to break that out as well, that you have 26 guests playing and 40 members playing, and it allows you to break that out to see what the total is, based on how many people are playing. You could also add things like bags of teas. I've played in tournaments where I see them, give out bags of teas or a small bag of snacks, a water bottle, a sleeve of golf balls, different things like that. That if you want to track all of that inventory, things that you're, bringing out of your shop and putting in carts, things that you want to track, you have that ability to do that here through add-ons. Something that I would have loved to have during my time working in the pro shop is on the morning of an event, being able to see different instructions that were given for different departments. I worked in the pro shop. I also worked on carts, so I did different areas, during an outing. And this instruction screen, which I will show on the function sheet here in a little bit, allows you to create different instructions for different departments, based on things that you want your staff to know either the night before or the day of for that event. So as you can see to the left here, we have different instruction sets. If you want to type a new instruction set in, you can, but these are kind of, preset instruction sets to the left here. Anyone that has a check mark on it, that is something that's already been created with an instruction. So if I click on Cart Barn, for example, we can see the instructions that are brought up for, for that particular department. We have stuff for golf shop. We have items for the kitchen staff to see. And then we also have, for the registration table in the morning. Maybe there's instructions that they need to see. We have that ability as well. So it's a really great tool to have. Obviously, there's a ton of moving parts at a golf course on the day of an outing, the day of a wedding, any type of event that involves, set up and tear down, things like that. So really cool feature to be able to give to your staff. Not everyone wants to read an email with a list of things that they need to do in the morning. So maybe an emailed function sheet that shows them a step-by-step of here's your 5 instructions that need to be done end of day or prior to the event starting. So definitely something that I would have loved to use while I was working in the pro shop and on carts. So this is our payment screen here. During your kind of event setup, during the time in which a customer is going to make deposits or payments, this is where you're going to see any deposits made. This is where you're going to see when it was created. And then down at the bottom here, you'll be able to see the total that is due for your event. You'll be able to see any deposited payments by cash, check, card, any type of deposits that were given, that'll reflect here on deposits. We have applied revenue, and then we have a liability. Any payments that are made towards the event are always going to show in liability up until we post revenue. Posting revenue and closing events are two of the more important parts of the event side and the payment side. Something Michael will get to during his portion here. Posting revenue allows you to take those items that are in menu, take those items that are in add-ons, and it's going to reflect that revenue the day that you click that post revenue button. One of the most important reasons for that is, let's say we have an outing at the end of the month. That outing takes place on, May 30th. And we want to make sure that we reflect all of that revenue in May and not in June. But the customer is going to make that payment, that final payment for their event on June 5th. So we want to make sure we post that revenue at the end of the month, signifying that all of that, those menu items and anything in add-ons is being reflected in the month of May. And once we post that revenue, this close event will then it'll open up to allow you to close that event, but you don't have to take that payment that day. You can take that payment on, June 5th or June 6th. So you're not worrying about posting that revenue because you've already done that for the correct month. Now we're just going to take that final payment or a few payments. And once that's done, then you can close that event. So it is very important that as you have events that, are towards the end of a month, or even, mid-month, you want to make sure you're posting that revenue in that correct week or that correct month, so that when you are looking at reports that everything is tracking properly, and there aren't questions as to why a month may look a little better as opposed to a previous month when the event did happen, in May as opposed to June.
So one question that came in, I think it's important to maybe differentiate, just for clarification, is Eric asked, where can you get the link for an online event? Like, i.e., if we use it for junior golf registration. So I think maybe clarifying the difference would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So through our iframes here under our settings, in our iframes, we have a lot of these links. This second link here, this event link, this is actually going to tie in all of your online events. So under events here, we have the online events, the golf outing manager, and the difference between the two here. One of the biggest examples that I give for an online event would be like a junior golf clinic or a couples night. Not something that's going to happen on a weekly basis. Maybe it's a monthly or bi-weekly thing, or a bi-monthly thing, excuse me. And you want to create an event that allows the customers to click a link, go into that link, register, pay their fees, and then you guys at the club have the ability through this online events page to click on the registrations, see who the customers are that have signed up, see the date that they signed up, how they paid, how many they paid for, and then you can get that running list of a subscribers list. And what's really great about the online events as well is you can cap it. So if you wanted to cap a couples night at 40, so 20 couples, you have that ability to cap that off. And once that 40th person, 39th, 40th person signs up, it's no longer available to register for. So you're not having to call up to those customers and let them know that unfortunately they were the 41st and 42nd customers and they're not able to to participate in that. So it does allow you to not have to manage that link as much because you are capping it off and you have the ability to see who is signing up. So it would be again through settings, through our iframes link or our iframes page here, and then the second link, which is the events link. You can tie any of these links into a website. You could put it on on Facebook, Instagram, whatever socials you guys use. But that would be the difference. The online events is more for a registration format where they're paying their fees up front and then they're doing some sort of event that you're having at the club.
And just to touch base on another question that's kind of similar is someone asked if they have a minimum set of golf events, would I just change the price per golfer to hit these minimums, or is there a way to identify that base price, i.e. minimum dollar amount is set, but not enough golfers show up to the event? So not 100, I don't know if we have any minimum set permissions. Do we have that?
In
Yeah,
terms, go ahead,
yeah,
Michael.
I can take this one. Yeah, we don't have the ability to set like a minimum spend amount for any of the tabs in the event builder. But if that was the case where you had a minimum price that a golf outing had to spend on golf, right? If they had to spend $5,000 on golf, and they said that they were going to have 100 players and they showed up with 90, you could decrease the number of golfers in the golfers tab, and then you could just increase the price to make sure that they hit that whatever that minimum threshold is. I don't know if we've actually heard the request of minimum spend for events, but that is how you would do it today for sure.
And so just to clarify, so to understand those links, right, within here, you have a payment link option, typically used for like a big event where one check is being written or two checks are being written. The online registration link in your iframes is for registration, things like that. So just to differentiate those links.
Yeah. Yeah. And these two links down here that you see on the golf outing page, we have a payment link with the balance details, and then we have a payment link without the balance details. So if a customer, it said, I would like to make a final payment for the event. I'd like to, I'm going to call in over the phone, or I want to make that payment without coming in, but I don't want to call over the phone and make that payment and give you my card over the phone. You could send them these links, one or the other, and it allows them to make that payment online, that final payment, which would be reflected here, which would then allow you to close that event.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just to expand on that, there is a reason that we have two different links down there. So the payment link with and without balance details. So the payment link without balance details, that's more so kind of when you're building out the event, maybe not everything is finalized. You just want someone to be able to go in there. Maybe it's a golf outing for next fall, right? And you want them to put a deposit down just to secure their spot. There may not be anything in the golfers tab or the menu tab or the add-ons tab. There may be no scheduled charges on there. You can send them this and they can put down a $500 deposit. But like in Drew's scenario, where someone is potentially making a final payment, ideally they would know how much the final payment is. So when you send them the link with the balance details, it'll show you, hey, you have $1,800 outstanding, so they can make that final payment, and then you can go ahead and close out that event.
And I think we've even seen facilities use the payment link without balance details for like sponsorship. So if somebody wants to send money to sponsor the tournament, they can use that link to directly pay a a portion of it, correct? We've seen that use case.
Yeah, you want to get really creative. That'd be a great way to do it. Yeah.
You know, the world is, you have endless possibilities. Use it for whatever you think would fit your needs. Um, there was another question. So when you create an online event, does it show anywhere automatically, example website, or do you have to take the link and create the post? So I think we answered that with the iframe. So it does automatically uh, have that link in your events iframes. But if you're actually looking like for a subsidiary link just to that event, gentlemen, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, so there's no link for each individual event, but what is nice about the online events is that you can set specific groups to each event. So if you have different types of season pass holders or different types of members or like seniors or junior golfers or PGA members, and you only want a specific group of people to be able to see and register for that event, you can manage those groups. So when you click on that iframe link, depending on what classes are tied to your profile, that will control which events you see. So not necessarily everybody sees every event. It's just how you set it up in the managed groups for online events.
Also have that ability within the member portal too. Members would have that events link on their member portal, which they would be able to see those online events as well.
And for anybody at private facilities, if you have your women's, group, it will only show on, those people versus, if it's a outside event, members may not see it. So you can really start to ensure that not everyone is being overloaded with your content. You can really specify and direct target registration and who you want to see those. So.
All right. Want to be able to give Michael some time here to go through the reports. So I did download a few things here that you guys will be able to download during your events. First one here being the event invoice. So it runs through who's the customer that was on that main event details page. It goes through the name of the event day and date, the time, number of guests based on your verified count, and then if you have a venue, whether it's gonna be at a pool, tent, if you have multiple courses. Then we have the menu, which we've created. We have the lunch menu. We have our add-ons, so the green fees and the cart fees for public, and then we have the green fees and cart fees for members. It then gives you a subtotal down here at the bottom, any applicable taxes, service charges, and then it shows the menu and add-ons total. And then down here, based on that golfer screen that we set up where we created the 2 fee types with the member and the guest, with the golfer amount, the price per golfer, it also gives you that line total as well and gives you that golf total. It'll show any deposits that were made, the date that deposits were made, total deposits made showing here down at the bottom, and then it gives you that amount due, down here at the bottom. This one is that function sheet that you'd be able to print off and give to the staff. Same thing, it shows the name of the event, any of the event details that are important to the staff. That way they at least know when the event time is, start and finish, whether they're playing the front or the back or both, if it's going to be a golf outing, banquet. And then we have those instructions here. So it lists out the department, and then it gives those department instructions based on what you guys set through the instructions page. It'll also produce a menu for you guys so that you can see lunch items, dinner items, breakfast, any add-ons. So on that add-on screen again for the golf, the green fees and the cart fees. So this is a really good tool to pass out to the staff, especially if you have a lot of staff members working for an event. It allows you to, if you have a meeting prior to the event, you have the ability to print this out and give to them and allow them to utilize some of the tools that we create for you guys. And then finally, we have the BEO here. This kind of takes your invoice and the function sheet and kind of brings them together. It'll show you any of the charges. So we have the, tournament buffet, the food items, any add-on fees, green fees, cart fees, and then it'll populate those instructions and notes here as well. It's great for weddings because if you're doing kind of an event timeline, things like that, it produces that that start time for that timeline item, whether it's start of wedding or start of dinner, or if they're going to be golfing for an outing, or if they're golfing prior to a wedding, anything like that. So it's another good tool to use to send to your staff could use this one, or you would obviously send it to the the customer who's going to be paying for the outing or paying for the wedding.
And Drew, one of the questions that has come up is about contracts. So if you actually scroll to the very bottom of this, I believe there is a signature section. So this, in essence, is your contract. So you can utilize this information because it does combine your invoice and your BEO and your setup into one. This is your front-facing, customer-facing contract, in essence. Now, if you need to add additional verbiage or text, you can do that creatively by creating some of those fields that auto populate. You can add an additional page if you want, so you just go to your PDF and add like any other contract details, things like that. So this is going to give you what's in the system, but if you have additional terms and conditions, you can always just attach this with an additional PDF for those contracts set up. But at least you're getting the sign off on what is plugged into the system. One of the other things that was asked, and so it was about the contracts for event setups with signatures. How do you set this up? Is it a function of the activity outing manager for those in the indoor golf space?
Yes. So if we go back to the system here, so we have the activity outing, we have the activity lead manager. These two are what's going to be used for simulators in the indoor facilities. So the activity outing manager is going to be set up fairly similar to each other. Only difference is you're not going to have to tie in necessarily a green fee and a cart fee, where you could tie in a simulator rate or a simulator fee through add-ons. So a lot of this is going to produce the same way. You can do instructions. You can have, you're still going to be able to post revenue and close that event. And you can create a floor plan based on, changing around floor plans, in your facility if you're going to move tables around or use one singular simulator for a birthday party. So a lot of the golf outing setup does mirror the activity outing setup. You won't need to, you're not going to set something up on the tee sheet. This would set up towards the activity screen. So you wouldn't see any of this on the tee sheet. You would be seeing that on that activity screen. So you can still set up your date and your time. The resource is going to be, your courts or your simulators that you're going to reference. And then you might say, we're going to use every bay. So we're going to use bay 1, 2, and 3, and it's going to block that off on the activities page, just like it would on the tee sheet. So a lot of this is fairly similar to each other. There's just a few differences based on, it's not on the tee sheet. It would be on the activities page. And then, different items that you would put in based on, if it's obviously golf would be on tee sheet, and then activities could be simulator rentals, things like that.
And I know people are very eager on the reporting because they want to know how these rounds are going to be totaled. But the one other question that came up, and we can always address this at a later time, though, is Heather has a group of 12 golfers at 10:30 every Wednesday and Friday. How do I set them up to show on the tee times every Wednesday and Friday through the golf season? So I think we have a couple different ways we can do this, but for best practices, I'm going to refer to you, gentlemen.
Yeah. We have two great ways that I have done this in the past with courses, and ways that I recommend. So on the tee sheet here, if you right click on a booking, we have a add multiplayer booking, and we also have a add group reservation. The difference between the two is with the add multiplayer booking, you're able to get the names of every person that's going to be playing. So if you do have, 12 people, 16, 20, however many, you do have that ability to, break this out and see who's going to be on that tee sheet. You can break it out in foursomes, threesomes. You'd be able to attach carts to, to those customers as well. It's going to look just like your average foursome booking, but instead of having to create 3 separate foursomes, you're able to do 12 from here. And with that 12, you're able to go through and put in the first and last name of the kind of creator of this booking or this weekly scramble. And you can leave the remainder of them anonymous, or you can go in and throw in a name for every, every customer. The other way is the add group reservation. With the add group reservation, you're able to select where it's going off, whether it's the front or back. I can select a start and end time. I can select a, 9 or 18. And then if they are making the turn, I can select when I anticipate that, the turn will, when they'll make the turn. I can select a group name. So in this case, you're not putting in every customer, you're just putting in a name of that group that would show on the tee sheet. Number of golfers. So in this case, because I only had it set for, it's a 10-minute interval, it's going to, tells me it's 4 golfers, but you can select however many golfers. Then you have the ability to select fee types or group prices based on your rack rates in the system. So I can select here, that we have, in this case, a Twilight. You could do junior, you could do, senior, you could do members. However you're setting that up, it allows you to create that group. And once you save that group, then you'd be able to go into the tee sheet. You'd be able to right click. You can check in 1 golfer. You could check in 2. You could check in all 12 at the same time. It just gives you that leeway to not have to check in every single golfer at the same time. There's always that scenario where you have a group of 12 and, they stagger in at different times. You have that option to pay for 1. When I play golf with my dad, I pay for him as well, so they can check in 2. They could check in 1 junior, 1 senior. It doesn't have to be the same fee type. So it does give you that flexibility of creating multiple fee types and checking in multiple fee types at the same time. So one option allows you to put in every single name of every single person playing, and the other option just allows you to come up with that number and then create a group name with those different fee types. So there are a couple options there.
There's one other question. Is it possible to consolidate the BEO into 1 or 2 page printout? No, that's not an option. Just based on the amount of information you have in there, we may just need more space. So unfortunately, we would have to reduce the font to like 10 or 8 or 6, depending on the event detail. And then secondly, they did ask also, is it possible to print a BEO without pricing? So I couldn't recall if of those 3 BEO printout options, did all of them have pricing? I don't know if the function sheet did.
Yeah, so the BEO definitely has pricing. That's kind of what you want to review with the client, essentially, to make sure that everything looks right. We could definitely, we could probably create a BEO option to download without pricing. Yeah, I don't think we've heard that before, but yeah, I think there's an option to include pricing. You could just, download the event summary here.
Yeah, the function sheet, I know, it's just going to show the item and the quantity, so there would be no pricing on that. Could do it that way.
But yeah, specifically with the BEO, that comes with pricing as of today.
And I know we're hitting our last 10 minutes. I know some people have reporting questions, so I'm going to stop on all future questions just for this moment and let Michael here get through some of the reporting. And I know a lot of people are asking tracking rounds and how is it reflected?
Yeah, for sure. So just to start with the tracking of the rounds, whenever you go ahead and post that revenue, that is when everything is going to be reflected. Or you close that event the day of, that's when those rounds will be reflected, both on the T sheet and in the reporting, just depending on how you set it up. But either close the event or post revenue, that's when all of those rounds would be posted. So a couple things here. I know everybody is always anxious to talk about reporting, everybody's favorite subject. So there's quite a few event reports that we've come out with recently. I wanted to start with the event charge summary. Hopefully everybody knows what event charge is if you use the events module. This is one of the bigger enhancements we came out in the past 2 years or so. One thing that we've seen when clients switch over to Club Caddie is they're used to having kind of their events separate, and then they'd also create the event like as a member with a charge account. So they'd have to reconcile two different accounts. We saw that as a gap, and so we created event charging. It functions very similar to a member charge account. So you can go in if you're in the register, and let's say we have an outing today and they wanted to, it's raining. I'm in Minneapolis here and it's downpouring right now. So we had to buy a rain jacket, and I'm the one that's running the outing. You say, hey, I just put this on the event. I'll pay for it when we settle up. We can go in here, we can click on event charge, and we can search for the event. This is Michael's outing, and we'll go ahead and pay for that. This actually adds it to the ledger. This will show on the invoice for the event when it's printed out or emailed to the customer. And then we also have this event charge summary report.
Michael, are you sharing your screen?
Oh,
I was like, oh, he's very descriptive.
was too.
And then
I'm on a roll.
while you do that, Drew, the one question that came in is how do you make that booking repeat? So there is an option that you can repeat the booking, and we could probably send a knowledge base article. So we will do that. But Michael, go on.
Perfect. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So this is the event charge summary that I was trying to show. This will show any event for a given period of time. It will show the event charges here. So I just rang up a rain jacket to Michael's outing through the register. I'll just go through that one more time here quick. If you go to tender out, you can see event charge as a tender type. You can search for the event, and we'll do Michael's outing. And we'll process that, and then that will show on this report. It will also show on the invoice, like I said. So just a good tool to see every type of charge that's billed out for an event, including these event charges. The next one that we'll go through would be the event tracking report. So kind of similar to event charge, but this would be any sales that are tied to an event that aren't being event charged. So it's kind of similar, but if you have an outing today and you have 50 people in the outing and they're all buying their own food and drinks before the event, and you wanted to track those sales back to the event just to see kind of how much revenue that total revenue that event brought in. This would be the report where you can do that. So in the events module, if I go to golf outings and see if this will load here. There's a tab in the event builder specifically for event tracking, all the way over here on the right. You can designate what terminal locations have event tracking turned on. Then you can see all of the event tracking orders here. You can view these orders, what they bought, what the breakdown was here. And then that's what that pop-up was when I go to tender out, TaylorMade Polo. This is the event tracking pop-up. So I'm going to track this sale to the event, and then they're going to pay for it in cash. And then this transaction will now show on the event tracking report. So two different but similar reports, just to kind of get the overall scope of the total amount of revenue that any given event is bringing in for your facility. The next, try and keep this quick here. We just got a couple minutes left, but the event service type report. So this would be a breakdown of the different types of spending, if I just increase this here, you can see that we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner as the event service types. These are just like the standard service types that we have included just out of the box. You can create different service types for different types of events, but this will show you how much people have spent on breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then other. And this would be, you can configure this. We have a setting for event settings, and we have these service types. So you can see we have a couple built out here for banquet events, rehearsal, reception, ceremony. So if you wanted to tie specific items to these service types, that's where they would be broken out here in this report. So I think that was the very condensed version of the reporting, but those are some of the newer reports that we've come out with in regards to events. We have event adjustment reports, finalization reports, aging reports. We could spend a whole hour going through the different types of reports and how they relate to events, but I do think we had a couple questions come in. And then one thing really quick, I know we had a few of the webinar questions about shotguns and online signups. One thing that we'll be coming out with here probably in the next month or so is the ability to do an online public shotgun. So this would be separate from the events module. This is something that you would configure on the T-sheet. And essentially how it would work is you can highlight a block of times, let's say from 2:30 to 3:30. You could designate these as available for online shotgun. And let's say it was just a 3 o'clock shotgun start. All of these times online would show as 3 p.m. and everyone would be able to book into those times under the assumption that they would start at 3. So a little bit different than the traditional events module, just giving people more flexibility, especially with online signups. A lot of courses in Florida, California, in the Southwest, gets a little too hot in the summer to play in the afternoon, so they do shotguns in the morning, and that's kind of what this is geared for. So just a little look into what's to come.
That's what we call a teaser. No, that's a huge one. Big request by a lot. So that shotgun feature is going to be an exciting one. And let's see. So I think we did answer most of the questions that have come in along the way. If anyone here has those last minute questions that you would like answered, feel free to either type it into the chat or to the question and answer section. One thing I did want to note, so I forgot to mention what I do. I'm the director of training and education here at Club Caddie. My name is Nicole Chapman. But for those of you that are looking for some how-tos or some basic things like that, we do have a dedicated knowledge base of a ton of information and articles and how-tos. And that is at support.clubcaddie.com. So those are for articles. And then we also do have video tutorials that we're constantly trying to update. We are going to relaunch a new one, but that is at learn.clubcaddie.com. So you have 2 really great resources. If you're more of a visual person, videos are good. If you're more of a reader, you can go to the articles, but you can also find the link. And this one is one I don't know if everyone knows, but when you log in to Club Caddie, in the very bottom of your screen, you have your version number, you have something called knowledge base. That knowledge base link on the very bottom of the screen in Club Caddie will bring you directly to our knowledge base articles. And you also have a link to our chat support, our amazing chat support team who is there for you as well. But we always encourage people, we want you to learn everything you can about Club Caddie with really hands-on approach. So starting off at the knowledge base articles is a great way to do that. And so, we got let's see, we got one more question here. How often do you hold these awesome kind of Zoom sessions? Yay, love hearing that. We try and do them quarterly. It does factor around some business travel we have or new releases we may have, but we are actually going to continue this a little differently. This is called Caddie Chat, which is kind of a general topic review. We're going to open this up a little bit differently moving forward. we're going to make it a general question. So we will use this as a way to register, submit some questions. We'll group those questions, and then we're just going to talk about them live like we did today about everything and anything. So we'll format it a little differently, and I'm so glad you guys enjoyed. I want to thank everybody because I know we're coming up on time. Huge thank you to Drew, first time on a webinar, and Michael, always our reoccurring knowledge here. Thank you both. And again, support.clubcaddie.com, learn.clubcaddie.com, Nicole@clubcaddie.com. I'm here for you as well. I can point you in the right direction. So thank you everyone for all your time. If you did not get your questions answered, please send them my way. I will forward them to the correct people. If you submitted questions at your registration that weren't answered, they will also be followed up by our customer success, who is your advocate here at Club Caddie, if you didn't know that. So we have a dedicated person just for you, and they are the person that can help you, guide you, and point you in the right direction as well. We are always trying to improve everything we can and create the best process for you guys. So anything else, gentlemen? Did I wrap it up?
I think we're good. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much again for your time. Nicole@clubcaddie.com. Shoot me anything you guys need. Gentlemen, Drew, Michael, have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Bye, gentlemen.